Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon. Here with your 2 p.m. news headlines is Bahar Garian, BCIT News. It's no surprise that it's going to cost a hefty price to attend a game at the 2026 FIFA World Cup in Vancouver. Our reporter Caleb Templeton has more on what fans should expect with the ticket prices in the next few months.
The 2026 FIFA World Cup will be hosted in Canada, the United States, and Mexico starting in June. One of the Canadian host cities includes Vancouver at BC Place. But many soccer fans fear the prices will stop them from attending the games. Ticket prices are expected to be up to $2,440 just to attend a game in Vancouver. Expect the prices to also go up as FIFA announced that Team Canada will be playing 2 of their 3 group stage games in Vancouver. Canada will also play their round of 32 and round of 16 games in Vancouver if they advance in the tournament. Caleb Templeton, BCIT News.
The loneliness epidemic continues to be a problem for young people in Vancouver, especially when it comes to dating. Our reporter Riley Cunningham has more on a new way to approach speed dating in the city.
Most often, speed dating refers to the pace of conversation. With Speed Hearts, it refers to the pace of your run. Co-founder of Speed Hearts Run Club, Amar Fazik, says the club's quippy slogan, "Your pace or mine," invites curious newcomers to make friends, mingle, and see what happens. And some have found more than just a good workout.
I think we have two couples that have met and made, a long-term relationship through the Run Club. So I guess I hope to get an invite to their wedding one day if it ends up being successful long-term.
If you're looking to up your endurance and expand your social circle with like-minded folks, Speed Hearts just might be for you. Riley Cunningham, BCIT News.
The union representing Strike Canada Post employees says it will meet with the federal minister in charge of the Crown Corporation after accusing Ottawa of trampling on the collective bargaining process. There appears to be no end to the strike after Canada Post's mandate was changed. According to the federal jobs minister, Patty Hadju, the government will not be stepping in to end the job action.
The responsibility is on the parties. There is a union and there is an employer and there is a process, and they all know the process. The process is that they negotiate till they get to a deal that everybody can live with. And so our expectation is if the union is not satisfied with that offer, they should table a counteroffer. That's how mediation works. That's how negotiations work.
Coming up on Halloween this fall, in an AP interview, Brad Terabus with Erebus Haunted Attraction says they track how many people cannot make it through their haunted house.
How scared do people get? You know what? We don't really count the tally number of how many people are going through. What we do count is the people that don't make it through. Actually, last year we broke our 10,000 WIMPs over the last 2.5 decades. That is 10,000 people that purchased a ticket at the front door and didn't make it out the normal exit.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith spoke at the BMO US-Canada Summit in Toronto recently, and she says Trump doesn't respond well to appeals for help or to stop hurting his northern neighbor. Smith said it looks like Prime Minister Carney doesn't have the ability to speak Trump's love language, quote-unquote. In Smith's opinion, Trump would prefer to hear about what Canada has to offer to help make America even greater. She adds that she's beginning to see Carney act on those terms when speaking with Trump. After Carney met the president Tuesday in Washington, he left without a deal to lift U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods. Ottawa says progress was made and the two sides are working to land sector-specific deals. Speaking about relations between Carney and Trump, our Prime Minister raises the prospect of reviving the Keystone extra-large pipeline project with U.S. President Donald Trump, as part of a larger pitch on linking energy cooperation and support for Canadian steel and aluminum sectors. A government source that had been briefed on these discussions told the Canadian press that Trump was extremely receptive to the idea. Both leaders are directing their teams to pursue more discussions in the days ahead. A CBC source said Carney and Trump made progress on discussing cooperation against different sectors, as well as how agreements in one sector could affect progress in a different area. Trump took to social media this February to announce that he wanted to revoke the Keystone Extra Large project. The pipeline would run Alberta crude oil down to refineries on the U.S. Gulf Coast. The project was shut down by the Obama administration before Trump could revive it in his first presidency, and the plan was squashed once again under President Joe Biden. The Nobel Peace Prize in Chemistry this year was awarded to 3 scientists for their development of new molecular structures. These can trap vast quantitative gas inside of the structure. The discovery lays the groundwork to possibly eliminate greenhouse gases from the atmosphere or harvest moisture from desert environments. The chairperson or the committee that made the award compared these structures, which go by the name of metal organic frameworks. They compared them to an extension of a bottomless magical handbag, such as like the one in Harry Potter or Mary Poppins. The parallel is drawn from the container's ability to hold large quantities within despite looking small from the outside. AP correspondent Alana Durkin-Richer was in the courtroom. Reports James Comey has made the first court appearance in what his lawyers argue is a politically motivated prosecution.
He sat quietly throughout the brief hearing, flanked between his lawyers while the defense and the prosecutors worked out logistics, including setting a trial date for January 5th. Comey didn't really speak during the hearing other than to thank the judge when the judge informed him of the charges against him and of his legal rights.
AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports on an audience with the Pope on U.S. immigration.
A Texas bishop on the front lines of the immigration crackdown met at the Vatican with Pope Leo. El Paso Bishop Mark Seitz brought a packet of letters from immigrant families and showed the Pope a video.
Many of us were forced to leave behind everything that was most precious.
To say they're fearful is not strong enough. They're terrorized.
Seitz told the AP they fear they and their loved ones will be rounded up and deported. Catholic leaders in the U.S. have denounced the Trump administration crackdown. Seitz says at one point the Pope apologized for not having a place for the group to sit.
Later on in the meeting, he said, I will stand with you.
Seitz says the goal is not to get into the political fray on immigration.
We need to express what the Gospels teach us.
The first U.S. Pope celebrated a special Holy Year Mass for migrants last weekend. I'm Ed Donahue.
Blue Origin has another successful spaceflight, marking the 15th spaceflight by Jeff Bezos. Mike Dabowski goes into detail here.
Shepard has cleared the tower.
It was about a 10-minute flight altogether, with 6 people flying 62 miles into the air to the Kármán line, the internationally recognized border of space. Then 3 giant parachutes helped guide the New Shepard, a fully autonomous and reusable rocket, back down to Earth, landing without incident in the West Texas desert. This is the 15th private space flight for Blue Origin, which is owned by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Mike Dabowski, ABC News.
Luckily, the hundreds of hikers stranded on Mount Everest this morning during a freak blizzard have been rescued. Sharon Preston from ABC News has more on this event.
Raitan Jangbu Sherpa is one of the guides who helped get those hikers down and says if they'd had more training, the whole thing probably wouldn't have happened.
They're all newcomers, and then basically they don't have the exact experience of what it's like to be, what's the weather, if the weather condition is harsh.
Nearly 600 hikers and 300 guides, yak herders, and cooks were all trapped on the mountain. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
In sports news, game day burglaries of professional athletes continue, with the latest victim being an NFL player. Jim Ryan reports.
At least a dozen pro athletes have returned to their homes recently to discover a break-in.
Mainly away games, but in this case it was a home game.
Sheriff Joseph Lapinto says defensive end Cam Jordan and his New Orleans Saints were playing just a few miles away when Jordan's home was ransacked September 14th. Lapinto says neighborhood security footage has led to the arrest of 2 suspects in Georgia, with 2 more still sought. Lapinto won't say what was taken from Jordan's home.
If he wants to tell you what was stolen, he can tell you.
But that most of the stolen items have been returned. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Up 5 runs early in last night's game, the Toronto Blue Jays were headed to a 3-game sweep of the New York Yankees for a trip to the AL Championship Series. But then it slipped out of their gloves. A pair of critical defensive errors revived the Yankees, who then rode home runs by Aaron Judge and Jazz Chisholm Jr. to a 9-6 victory to stay alive in the ALDS. Blue Jays manager John Schneider said his team will shake off the ultimately mistakes.
It happens. It gets magnified this time of year, sure, all that kind of stuff, but you got to take care of the ball, So is it frustrating? Yeah, it's frustrating today, but you gotta come to work tomorrow, get prepared, and physical errors happen. It's part of the game, but you got to move on and get ready for tomorrow.
The Calgary Flames came so close to making the playoffs last season, but finished on the outside looking at the NHL's postseason. The Flames open this season tomorrow in Edmonton against the Oilers. With the majority of players returning this season, Calgary center Nazem Kadri says the Flames have the tools to reach the playoffs for the first time since 2022.
Now we just got to take that step to find, 1, 2, 3 more points.
The weather is looking partly cloudy with a slight chance of rain, so make sure you bring a windbreaker or some sort of jacket before stepping out today. Just to be prepared, the temperature is around 12 degrees Celsius. That's all for today. Those were your 2:30 afternoon headlines, and I'm Bahar Garian, BCIT News.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
I would recommend this program for anyone that isn't sure what kind of job they want in media, because you learn everything from public relations to communications to video editing, radio, TV. So you do get a lot of experience in all the different fields in media.